All right, today we're going to talk about one of the most infamous books ever written. A book whose chilling predictions were laid out for everyone to see, but were somehow ignored. How on earth did that happen? And what does it tell us about the catastrophic failure of foresight that literally changed the world forever? Okay, imagine this. World War II is over. The world is in ruins. More than 50 million people are dead. And in the middle of all that devastation, prosecutors at the Nuremberg trials make this just startling accusation. What they claimed was that the blueprint for the entire nightmare, I mean, the war, the camps, the genocide, all of it, had actually been published years earlier. It was out there for anyone to read. Yeah, a British prosecutor, Elwyn Jones, put it bluntly. That's a heavy, heavy statement. So, could that really be true? Could a single book literally be the plan for all that horror? To figure that out, we've got to look at what this cursed book actually said. Okay, so where does this story even begin? Well, we have to go all the way back to 1918 and to a guy who, let's be honest, was a complete and utter failure. So in 1918, after World War I, Adolf Hitler is a nobody, just a corporal with no job, no money, no future. The army then hires him as a spy, of all things, to check out these far-right groups. And that's where he discovers something about himself. He's a pretty powerful public speaker. Suddenly, he's got this influence, he sees what Mussolini is doing over in Italy, and he decides, hey, I'm gonna take my shot. And that shot he took, it was a violent coup attempt called the Beer Hall Putsch, and, well, it was a total disaster. Yeah, the army shut it down fast. 16 of his followers were killed. Hitler gets arrested. He's depressed. He might even get the death penalty. I mean, his story really could have just ended right there. He'd be a tiny footnote in some history book. But this is where everything changes. Instead of just disappearing, Hitler turns his trial into a stage. He gives these fiery speeches that get him noticed all over the country. He starts to see his prison time not as a punishment, but as a new beginning, a rebirth. And get this, he's sentenced to 5 years, but he only serves 9 months. And it was hardly hard time. We're talking tea in porcelain cups, hundreds of visitors. Someone even gave him a brand new Remington typewriter. So in this, 4-star prison, he had all the time in the world to read, think, and forge his ultimate weapon, a book. All right, so what exactly did he write in that cell? What's at the heart of Mein Kampf, which translates to my struggle? Look, the book is a mess. It's a rambling, 700-page manifesto, but if you boil it all down, you get one thing: a singular, obsessive hatred. Just look at this number, 373. That's how many times the word Jew shows up in just the first volume. He basically took all these wacky, pseudo-scientific racial ideas and twisted them into this terrifying worldview, all focused on one single enemy. So the core idea of the book is this theory of racial struggle. He portrays Jewish people not as a religious group, but as a parasitic race. He literally calls them a harmful bacillus and blames them for everything wrong with Germany. Its loss in World War I, the bad economy, you name it. And it wasn't just about hate. He also laid out an incredibly clear, incredibly aggressive foreign policy. He straight up called for conquering new Lebensraum, which means living space, for the German people. And he was very clear this would happen through war, primarily in Eastern Europe. But here is the crazy part. For all its violent, radical ideas, the book was a total flop at first. So how did it go from that to being the Bible of the Nazi Party? When it came out in 25, people hated it. Critics said it was unreadable, just a jumbled mess, and for years, nobody bought it. But then, the Great Depression hits Germany, and it hits hard. Suddenly, the Nazi Party starts getting more and more votes, and sales of Mein Kampf just explode. All of a sudden, people really wanted to know what this guy was all about. Once Hitler takes power in 33, the book becomes this massive propaganda symbol. They weren't just selling it anymore, they were pushing it on everyone. The government tells civil servants to buy it, town halls start giving it away to newly married couples, big companies hand it out as a bonus. It became this thing you just had in your house to show you were loyal, even if, let's be real, almost nobody was actually reading all 700 pages. So this whole campaign was massively successful. By 1944, over 12.5 million copies had been printed in Germany alone. And yeah, it made Hitler rich. Like, incredibly rich. We're talking tens of millions of euros in Titille's money just from royalties. So here's the really crucial part of the story. The blueprint for everything that was about to happen. War, genocide. It was right there in millions of homes. But as Hitler's power grew, it seems like the rest of the world just looked the other way. I mean, look at this. In public, Hitler was all about playing the calm statesman. He tells a French journalist in 33 that he only wants peace, dismissing his book as something he wrote in prison in the excitement of that moment. But that's a flat-out lie. The book explicitly calls for a war of revenge against France, calling them Germany's merciless enemy. The contradiction is just staggering. So why? Why did everyone ignore such a clear warning? Well, it was like a perfect storm of bad reasons. First, he was really good at lying to people's faces. Second, there was this kind of willful blindness going on. The things he wrote were so extreme, so monstrous, people just couldn't believe he actually meant them. And third, you have to remember, Europe was still deeply scarred by World War I. They were desperate to avoid another war at any cost. And the truly chilling part is that by the time everyone realized the book wasn't just talk, that it was a literal plan of action, it was way too late. I love this quote from someone back then who said it was simply a discovery of what already existed, but that we hadn't seen. Or maybe more accurately, that we didn't want to see. So what's the big takeaway here? The story of this book isn't just about one man's hateful words. It's really a warning about the catastrophic danger of willful blindness. It's about what happens when we dismiss radical ideas as just talk or underestimate threats that are staring us right in the face. The plan was published, the hatred was crystal clear, and it makes you wonder, the real question isn't just why they ignored it back then, it's whether we'd be any better at seeing it today.
Follow and subscribe.